All right, check this out. It's the number of years Trump could face in jail if convicted on all counts of the classified documents case. It's still counting. It goes up to 140. And time is not on Trump's side. Here's a look at the road ahead. In just a month, Republicans will take the debate stage, while the GOP frontrunner will have to juggle a handful of legal battles, including his company's civil suit, a defamation lawsuit, which is the same day as the Iowa caucuses, and a federal lawsuit after being accused of promoting a pyramid scheme. And that's not all. Between Super Tuesday and Election Day, Trump will have to face a jury involving Stormy Daniels' hush money payments, leading to his classified documents trial at the end of May. Former governor of Arkansas, Mike Huckabee, is here to react. Governor, you've run for president. It's not easy. They throw everything they can at you. This is a completely different thing, though. This is a former president who has an entire party and potentially an entire judicial process going against him.
Well, he does, and I think most Americans look at this and they can see that this is an attempt to make sure that Donald Trump is somehow chased off the ballot. But in their attempt to do it, it's sort of like Wile E. Coyote going after Roadrunner. The more they try, the worse it gets for Wile E. Coyote, the better it gets for the Roadrunner. His numbers stay up. People look at this and they say, wait a minute, let me see if I get this right. You do a raid on his home over some pieces of paper. Hillary Clinton, who had no authority whatsoever to have documents, had erased 33,000 emails, kept a private server in her bathroom. Some of those emails, private, classified stuff, ended up on convicted felon Anthony Weiner's laptop. So the double standard here is stark. And they're going after not just Donald Trump, they're going after people who work for him. Look, I'm just amazed by all of this. It's stunning. And
my understanding is going after these other two people that work for him really is just an attempt not to charge them, but to charge them enough to scare them into turning on him. All I've ever heard is people inside Trump's inner circle that work for him are very loyal. Loyalty is an important part to him. Do you think that's an effective route, or do you think it's basically grasping at straws?
Well, I think it's grasping at straws. And look, Jack Smith is one of these guys. He goes after people in a way that is disgusting, using the full power of the federal government and its unlimited budget to go after a person so he can control and manipulate the election. Here's a question I've got for some of these prosecutors. All of this information that gets leaked primarily to left-wing news outlets, do we not remember that that is a felony to leak that information? So is Jack Smith pursuing whoever it was who is the leaker, probably someone on his own staff? And they're leaking like a sieve over there and pouring out information that's detrimental to Donald Trump. That's a felony. How come nobody is talking about it? Nobody is doing a thing about it.
Governor, real quick, put your candidate hat on. We have a big field, and that's a good thing. A lot of ideas, a lot of competing ideas. President Trump is so far out in front of them right now. It's going to take big news and big happenings, big moments. We have a debate coming up. President Trump says he's not going to be there. I think there are 5 other candidates that's qualified. None of them are attacking President Trump on this. Will it take veering off the course and doing something like attacking President Trump at this debate for anyone to catch up to him?
It's probably a smart move on his part, because if he shows up, he becomes the immediate target. Everybody goes after him. If he doesn't, then DeSantis, the number 2 guy, at least at this point, although his numbers are not moving up, he becomes the target. So I think, Trump is saying, look, I'm going to get all the publicity I need or want, whether I show up or not. And if the real contest is who's going to be my contender, who's number 2, let these guys fight it out. I'll see him when it's down to 2 of us.
I hope President Trump shows up. We enjoy seeing him, and we love his answers to questions. It's always something that's prime time worth watching. Governor Huckabee, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Joey.
Yes, sir.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.